Now,
right. Okay. Well,
okay, but go ahead.
Go on. I was just going to say, you mentioned the LEMBA of northern South Africa, northeast South Africa, and Zimbabwe, and that area. Now, as you know, the DNA results from the LEMBA, taken from the LEMBA, they circumcise their children, their boys, and they do Passover. They celebrate Passover, okay? And they are typical black African features. They look typically African, sub-Saharan African. And when the DNA was tested for them, they turned out to be Levites. They turned out to be the priestly clan. Now, that was a remarkable study that was done that shows that what you look like is nothing to do with what your genes tell you and what you are, your origins are. So it's climate which makes us look the way we are. I mean, northerners are white because we don't get very much sun. Africans are darker because you live under a stronger sun. That's the way it is, and it becomes part of your DNA, as it were. But when you can actually check a DNA line like the Levitical line, like the Levites, which was a very narrow, they didn't marry outside the line. That, you know, Aaron's descendants were all married within the Levite tribe. Okay, that is something very specific which confirms and supports your argument. Okay, so there is no reason why other parts of Africa would not also have Jewish DNA. But why haven't they been tested? Have they been tested? What can we find out? For instance, if you want to become an Israeli today, you can actually have a DNA test that shows whether you have Israelite or Judaic roots. And so you can have DNA tests.
Well, from my study and from my research, they at this point have not. That's not from my study, and then maybe they updated. But last time I checked, is that all you have to prove that you are a Jewish citizen, you have to show that your family, somebody within your father, and especially your mother, have kept Hebrew traditions for, I think, 3 generations, and then you know, once that gets checked out, then you become a citizen. That the DNA, because the DNA at this point, they haven't mastered the science sufficient enough to actually say, yeah, you actually are Hebrew. No, you're not a Hebrew, because there's been many Jewish people that have gotten DNA and they have not have Hebraic DNA. A lot of them, especially the Jews in Poland and Russia and things of that nature, they're more associated with, you know, non-Jewish or ancestry. Now, the DNA, the Shemitic DNA, only proves that somebody in your family was Asiatic. Now, as you know, there were many Asiatic families outside of the tribes of Israel, so that also raises other questions that, you know, you could have, you will have to kind of combine all the DNA in the world. And if we say, okay, if this guy is not a Jew, doesn't claim to be a Jew, there's evidence that his ancestry doesn't come from Jews, and he has Shemitic DNA, does not prove that he's a Jew. It only proves that somebody in his family could have been or somebody of the Shemitic lineage.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the problem with Semitic peoples, of which the Judaic peoples or the Jews were part of that larger group, including the Arabs, let's face it. But that's why the Levites are so crucial, because they're a narrow DNA strain, and therefore when you find the LEMBA matching that very, very specific DNA strand, then that is fantastic proof for your argument, isn't it? How they became where they are and became what they were, but they are from the Levite tribe. There's no doubt about that.